Hello everybody, here we go. So last time I was having a little trouble with the audio, so we'll see how that works this time. I thought what I would do is I've zoomed in on Will a little bit so that you can get a better look at him. And let's see if we could go after that face. So the one drawback is I cannot see a reference of this cute kid. So let's see, I don't know what that is. Okay. All right. So if you jump on, let me know you're here. I can see your comments. Cindy just came home, that's why I'm a couple minutes late. And she'll be helping out, but I should be able to see them too. All right, so let's hope that the audio holds up. And let's see what we can do over here. First thing I'm going to do is give everybody a chance to get here and check my paint. Hey, Darlene. Hey, Darlene. So this will be a little bit more like I usually work, because usually I'm not putting a brand new palette out. So the first thing I do is come in here and check my colors. Even my black, which usually dries out, is a little bit wet. We'll add a little bit to that. Our blue, which is also usually stiff, not too bad, but I'm going to put just a tad out. Well, no, you know what? I think I'll leave that, and I'm sure my cadmiums are just fine. Yep. And that yellow ochre was so oily, I'm going to be very surprised if it's not. Yeah, it's still good. Okay, so let's get a little white. I'm going to put probably just a tad of black, green, and yellow ochre out, just in case I need some thin, kind of glazy-like things. The paint that's out here is a little set up and tacky, and I shouldn't need too much, so just a little bit tacky, which is good for your thicker areas of paint. But like I said, if you need some smooth background or something, tacky paint is difficult. Hey, there she is, the one and only. All right, so I've been struggling like a madman trying to get these cameras set up, and I have a feeling when I step too close up here, I'm a little too close to that one. No doubt about it, but that's why we're doing this, is to figure all this out so we can fix it and move on. White paint, that's old medium out there, so I'll get some new medium out. And painting can be a time-intensive thing. Wow, that was still really wet. That was very surprising. It's been out there for days. Huh. Hey guys. So that set the dogs off. Me just tapping on my palette. So they're going to keep us nice and safe. Physically anyway, even if they drive you mentally mad. Okay, just a little bit. Okay, so that's still pretty wet. We're gonna take that off. I like to stick my wet stuff behind my old stuff. That way when I'm ready to clean, it doesn't close in on me. What else we need? Anything? I think we're good to go. I think we are good to go. All right. So oiling out. This thing is a little wet, or a little tacky. You want to make sure that your thing's held strong enough that you can push on it. You got to put pressure on this thing. You want it so let it be held. All right, well, let's see what happens. So we're going to start by oiling this out. So I get all the dust and everything off of it. And we do that with our medium and then with a little bit of, I'm going to use Gamasol. Center, you can't see that because it's so bright. Undoubtedly, we'll need to adjust that. So there's the Gamasol. So let's take a bit of this. And you just don't want the mixture to go over half thinner. All right, I've poked a couple little holes in my lid, so it'll just drip out for me. I paint, I do go through quite a few paper towels. I found if I don't, everything gets to be a mess. My painting, my studio, because it doesn't take but a little bit of this oil paint, and it'll go a long way. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking my medium and just working it with the thinner to literally thin it out. That was the purpose of thinner, is to thin the medium. It's right in the name. So we're going to do that. You don't have to spend this much time doing it, but what I'm doing here too is feeling everything out, getting the feel for it. Like this isn't very flowy, you see that? So I think I'm gonna add a little bit more. We just want a little thin layer. We don't want to build this up too much. Okay, you can see where the thinner is. Just by the way it runs. You see it still holds together. It's starting to run a little bit. So we're getting closer. Right, so we're reading the material right now. See how I throw that across and it stops? Right, so we're reading what is possible at this viscosity. Okay, let's see what that does. Okay, so it's hard just to sit down, take this to a place, and then move on. It's kind of like cooking. You're a little bit more, a little bit less. Right, got to work the material until it's going to do what we need it to do. So it still stops, but it goes. See that? Okay, and so all this time you spend, your awareness of viscosity and material and flow is just going to grow. Okay. So let's see how that does. Get a big brush. Prefer a big flat brush. And I like to do this keep some of these brushes just varnish brushes, or so that they don't get stained. And the beautiful thing about that is if there is wet paint, you'll start to see it really, it'll show up immediately. So it just helps you be aware. So you're not going to be able to see all of this because we're so zoomed in on the picture. Oops, that was wrong. Let's see. Oops, nope, the whole camera zoomed in on there. So that's going to be what you get what you get on this one. All right. So I make sure all the soap's out of it by just flicking it, make sure there's all the dust and everything's out. And then let's just get our brush nice and wet. And can you see right here? I want you to look right here. See that change? So that's what oiling out does. Look at the difference between that value and that value. It doesn't read at all. See that? Huge, right? Huge. Huge. Right? So we can't even really judge this thing until we get it oiled out. Okay. So I know you guys aren't going to be able to see it, but just to keep it even, I want to do the whole thing, and the background's really bad too, so it's soaking this up. Soaking it up. Okay, again, I just want to keep thin layers, and I don't want to go over too many times. Right? Put it down, thin it out, and leave it alone. All right, and then I also want to do this group and try to work darker to lighter. So I wouldn't necessarily go from this to the red hair, through the orange hair, through this, through that. But I'll do through my dark backgrounds together, do my shadows together. You're not gonna be able to keep everything, but that way if anything does run, it's less likely to run into something completely inappropriate. For instance, taking white into that red or something, or taking red into that white. Okay, I'll go over, just make sure there's no excess anywhere. Okay. All right, so now this thing has come to life again. So now we're going to leave that a few minutes and head over to our palette. A small brush there. And now I'm going to get rid of the excess of what I've mixed up, because I don't really want to thin my paint out this much. This will change the behavior of my paint quite a bit differently than that will. So it matters. It matters. It matters. It matters. All right. So what do we have? The first thing we had was we had some shadow, which was black and red. Get a little medium just because it's stiff. And look, I want to I don't want to just blindly mix it. But if I threw all that red in here, I'd need 3 tubes of black to get it back to where I need it to go. And I can just grab a little red at a time so I have better control because that red is so strong and that black comparatively is weak. As I'm doing this, I can check it. So that's a little bit darker. Maybe a touch more. You see, that jumped quite a bit, didn't it? Jumped quite a bit. Okay, it's relatively close. And see from there, where's our skin tone going to go? So this wouldn't bother me if this is a bit thicker. So I'm not doing a lot of this because this is going to be quite a bit weaker than that. So this is just the yellow ochre, some cad red light. And I got some of it from there, so it won't be so far from that. See how that's becoming very colorful? So, so that's pretty dark little color there, maybe too dark. Let's leave that. That's a good starting point. Let's take this and stick it up there for a pile to be used later. I'm going to work hard on not mumbling while I concentrate. As I get more into concentration, more and more of the voice goes. Okay, so there might be closer to up in there. And then let's go to that light. I usually don't like to go into colors until I wipe the palette, just being lazy there. Every time I change colors, I like to wipe that palette knife that is, get it cleaned up. Okay, that came pretty close to that same color, didn't it? So why don't we just combine those? And let's take a bit of that and crank it up a little bit. So it's slightly darker. That's okay. I like to start a little bit darker because it's much easier to lighten the color. than to darken it. Okay, so there's some of our starting oranges. Now let's go to the other side of the wheel. Wheel, W-H-E-E-L. Will, not wheel, wheel. And look for our blues. And so some of our first blue, well, we'll definitely have that black, right? Black of the eyes. So let's go ahead and get a black, a little bit of blue in it. Okay, so that'll be a nice dark accent. Okay, and then we have the air, the background. And again, start with black and white. Because why? Because this is a gray color. If you start with black and white and then just add a touch of color, you're much more likely to be gray than you are color. Okay, so you can already see that looks really blue and there's no blue in it at all. It's just ivory black and white. Okay. And see, I know that's not very much blue. We'll have to, but we're going to be working on a small area here. And then what else do we have? We have our highlight. So I'm going to get just a touch of that blue. On camera, I don't even know if you're going to be able to see the change. I want to keep it pretty quiet. But hopefully you can clearly see that this will sit on top of that, no problem. Now the question is this darker than that? The answer is yes. It's hard to see with the camera, yeah, but that is definitely darker than that. And is it lighter than that? And again, a little bit, it's hard for you to see, but the answer is definitely yes. Definitely, definitely, definitely. Okay, so those are what I call starting piles. And what I mean by starting piles is they're in the ballpark of where I want to go. Because what we're doing now is we're moving into these smaller pieces and going to try to refine those. Okay? See if we can get that done. Excuse me, don't mean to be drinking in your ear. Okay, a little bit earlier today I came in and I used the palette knife and I scraped off of the big thick stuff. That's a post or two behind, ahead, down, wherever. That was just a couple hours ago. I think that was maybe an 8-10 minute video. And then now, let's get in there and see what we can do. And I forgot to get my brushes. So taking out a couple of brushes, and we'll be ready to go. All right, so I got me a couple of brushes. So these are just zeros right here. So you can see I'm not going to be able to do much, but that should be small enough to do what I want. And then 2, 4. So as you get down to these smaller things, you know, if you're bringing a number 12, it's going to be hard to get any detail, right? You can suggest detail, but it's going to be hard. But when you're down working in the eye, for instance, and you need to get those little shapes, you need to be size appropriate. Okay? Okay. So start with the biggest brush possible. Shouldn't say possible, but you want to start on the bigger side with the brushes, and we still want to start in our shadow and start dark and work towards our light. Okay. Start dark and work towards our light. I think we may questioning whether I want to put that. Yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I will. And again, it's hard to show you guys what I do because just standing here staring is a lot of what I do. And of course, I'm solving problems in my head, testing this out. If this, then that. Boom, boom, boom. Is that really what I want? What's this all about? Right? And sometimes you think you see something, but it's not really what's happening. So whenever I think I find the answer, I challenge myself. Is that really what's going on? Okay, let's go. All right, so I think that eye's up a little high. Let's see, it'll be wide but not as tall. See how that kind of anchors everything in there? Those darks really anchor things down. And then again, let's not make anything come in there with some red too. Yeah. Jump across. I feel like this is a little wide here. All right, if we're going up like that, then what's the right angle to that? Somewhere in there. Okay, and so if you want that to be special, his eyes, then stop. Get out of that. Because the more you use this, the less special that is. I hope that makes sense. Then we'll just jump right over to our shadows and let's test that out. Let's test it with shadow that we already have here. Yeah, it's about the same. It's a good dark shadow. Let's make sure that's showing underneath the eye. And then I've got the little eyelid, and then above the eyelid, it tucks back in. Okay, so I'm doing the same thing I did before. I'm just trying to be a little more accurate now because I've got some more information. Let's see. That may be a bit too far over. Okay, still making sure those big shapes and forms are there. Let's see. Be a little bit much, and then that chin would be like that. Chin, cheek. Sorry. Sorry. Then that shadow's got to catch the light. Catch that light. Mouth turns over. All right. So we've just started again with our piles, and now we're coming back and revisiting these shapes. See if we can't be a little more precise. Sorry to keep turning my back, but my reference is over my shoulder. I'm using every electronic device I have. Didn't even have anything left for reference. I know, how did I ever make it? We managed somehow. We managed somehow. Where's the end of that mouth? Where's the end of that mouth? So I get the volume of it, get it related to the rest of the face. All right, and let's see. Hard. Sometimes a hard, straight edge is just what's needed. Just what's needed. Let that kid turn his head back so we can get under that chin. Okay. So let's go to the light. I want a little bit bigger brush. Not too big, but big enough. I got it's a little more color here. Let me be very judicious about how I use this. Symmetry. That's symmetry. Right? It kind of just takes experiencing knowing how much is enough and how much is not enough. Even when I go back to start, I want to overshoot a little. A little. Yeah, so just taking some of my blanched color now, a dark blanched color, and getting some more here on the cheeks. This feels really low to me. That shadow's probably gonna have to come up. We'll see. We'll see. Like I said, it's hard to teach and do these drawings accurate and everything else. So just a slight bit of color here on the front, not too much. Okay. And then that's going to bring us over to here. That's not quite enough. So, I'm never saying answers. I'm just always quite, is that enough? Do I need more? Okay, that feels better. And just like a second coat of wall paint, the second time you go over here, the paint's going to sit up brighter, especially if you just put the same color on. Okay, top planes of those, which we're probably not going to see that much of since he's tilted back. Want to be careful about all of that. Again, we'll kind of walk that off. Soft edges. All right, I hope this is making sense. I know this is a slow watch, like watching paint dry. Why do I do this? I didn't see when that came in, Darlene. I wonder if you're talking about the pictures or the paint. The paint, because it's just playing. You just get to play. Get to play, but some big truths there. Big truths and principles. All right, so now I'm going to take my air, my background, and I'm going to, again, so we're not going to put just pure background on there like I was talking about before, but we're going to influence this color. And then what that does is we can start turning that so it's not flat. When you go over the canvas with medium, is it to re-wet the canvas before adding paint? Yeah, and it's also to, like if you go back and watch wetting it down, you'll see the values change in his hair in the darks. There's two different values in the hair. When I re-wet it, it becomes one piece again. So the main purpose of it is to get the values all even, get all the surfaces even again, so that when it does dry and you varnish it, they're not all uneven because you were painting like it was one value when it was actually another value. And the longer you paint, the more obvious that'll get. Just as you're looking at the painting, you can see the dead spots. But yeah, it's to even it all out so that it makes sense in the end. It makes sense in the end. All right, so when I finished this last time, one of the things I was very unhappy about was this. And let's see. So, and part of it is it's blue and blue and blue. That works in a way, but I feel like I need a little bit more back there. I don't know if I want to go orange, but maybe I need to influence that with orange, or should I take it slightly green, which would mean adding that? Adding orange would be directly across of it, or it could go slightly purple, right? If I did the red in there. I don't know why. I feel like I'm introducing too much. I am tempted to do that green. Let's try it. Let's try it. So the first thing I want to do is I just want to test this out right here. And that's a little dark. That's a little dark. So let's lighten this up. And you know what? Boom, I'm just changing my mind. Let me be clear. I want to weaken this in the sense as I don't want it so cold. And since I want it weaker, not stronger, I'm going to go from one of these things I've already mixed up. So why don't I just reach right over, yeah, let's go this way. Remember, we need to be slightly lighter. Okay. There, yeah, and I don't, can you see that? It's just got a slight hint of yellow in it. It's even more, it's stronger on the screen than it is the palette in the canvas. So do I like that? I think so. I don't think I want a lot of that, but I think it's going to be very effective to show our collar, our neck. All right, I feel like that's a pretty good hold right back there with that blue shadow now. Okay, and then let's see if we use a bit of it over here, if we can't get these things closer, but still have that. Yeah, see, I like that relationship with the white shirt, and that's what I'm looking for. I think if I had gone purple, that would have been too weak here. And then let's see, can we just sneak a little bit of that in there? Cut into that light to make it smaller. Cut into that light to make it smaller. So a lot of my drawing is done by that cutting away. Boom. So we don't want to get too tubular on everything, but we want to make sure we're in the right spot. All right, then let's come back here and a little bit closer that way. Transition out of all of that. Okay, can you guys see that radiating off yet? Down here, of course. And then what we can do too is we can take this air, and as this turns over, right, we can introduce that in here. Yeah, maybe even back here a little. Okay, you see that gave that collar dimension, didn't it? I don't know if that showed up in the painting. Whereas this looks vague and that looks specific. So that's going away and this is coming. And that's why you want to be careful about the shadow back there. If you get it too distinct, it's going to be specific, which is going to draw your eye. And we want to be letting go right through here, right? Because we're going boom, boom, a boom, a boom before we start heading back up. Okay, so I'm going to grab just a little bit of this here. Okay, but all those things have to be in the right order or it doesn't work. It does not work if it's not in the right order. Right, you see how I'm just very carefully pulling out on each one of these things? I know it looks like I'm not, but so that was my more colorful. This is my less colorful. I'm doing the same thing and I'm just very carefully pulling it out and trying to get less and less the more I go. Kind of just feather off of that. Go across. All right, I hope that makes sense. Oh, hey, Claudia. I didn't realize part of my window was underneath, so I wasn't seeing everybody. Wasn't seeing everybody. So what do you guys think about these three cameras? Huh? Give me some love. It took me about 5 hours to set those up today. I had to have a cup of tea before I had the energy to paint after all that. But I think we've got it up and working. So let me know, and we'll definitely fine tune this as we go. All right. So what now? What now? What now? What now? Great. So Claudia's a fan. That's good. You know, before I go any further, what I want to do is I want to get a little white on there. You can take a shish kebab stick. You can take a toothpick. Um, I think these are little styluses or things. They're just little bitty things. Any of these things I use for small highlights. Get a stick from the yard. So you can see where they're going, right? Make them small. So I wiped off the dirty. Now there's going to be a highlight here, but there's also a highlight here, a highlight here. So I think the most important one is probably in the eye. So let's, so that got a little low. If we get the drawing, it doesn't work. Yeah, sorry about the mic. With all the cameras set up, there's a lot of metal around me, and this happens to be a wireless mic. My other mic's not working with the fan, so it's on the list. But thanks for letting me know that. The reference, yeah, that would be helpful too. So would it be better to see the reference rather than me, or you want a fourth window with the reference in there? Once we get really good, and if Cindy's here with me, she can actually switch from scenes. But demoing and talking and then switching scenes was just more than I could handle. Like, it's funny, as you wipe this off, it just sometimes it gets better, then you can cut back in with that black paint. Need to see. Okay, I got you going. Let's see. So what we've talked about was getting you where you need to be. Now, do you see how, okay, this is an area, and this is an area. We've got this. So probably need a little more detail in the eye to start bringing that up to life. I don't necessarily see you. Who was going on about seeing me? I thought somebody was saying, I want to see you, I want to see you. That's the whole reason I'm doing this third camera thing. But no, it helps to know what you want to see. Sometimes if you just see the palette and the canvas, it feels like it's disembodied. So we're going to be playing with all kinds of these, so keep bringing the ideas in, and we'll see if we can set them up. All right, so by the way, you right there in that camera, you've got a better position than I do. I've given up my position to get in front of the painting so that you could have it. Because if I was really doing this, I'd get like that. But that won't be no good for you. Okay, so we need a little bit darker for under the eye. Let's go for this eye. Let's start making this form. Let's let this turn under. And it's going to come from a pretty sharp point right about here. Right about there. And then to limit that, we get the turn, the little crook, as we take a corner from the face. Oops, and I got that on the wrong side of it. Got it on the wrong side of it. So do it again. Scrape it off the palette knife. Get that going across. And then end that where it turns under. With a corner. Then it can turn back up. The nose. Soften that edge on the nose. Will help so much. Will help so much. Okay. And then we're going to be turning away from the light a little bit because we're smiling so big here. Hey, Deb. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Trying out the 3-camera system and seeing what you guys think about it. And I'm trying to teach too. Trying to teach. Let's see. So yeah, my reference is back there. So let's get some whites of those eyes in there, but they're not white. they're going to be closer to our gray than they are our white. But if I make sure that it's cool, then it should stand out from the rest of it. Maybe even a little bit too bright. Let's see. Let us see what we got. Yeah, and so now we're getting some differentiation in the eye a little bit. We haven't gotten it right, but we're getting there. We're getting there, and let's get that eyelid. Let's get that eyelid in there. Let's not make it too bright because it's sitting around all that shadow and it's small. It's going to go right above that dark. And I got too thick, but that's okay. The other side, there's not much, but we may just hint a little. Just hint a little. You leaving, kiddo? All right. Bye. Have fun. See you later. All right. What else we got? Bye, babe. You're taking them? Okie doke. All right. So we're building up here in the eye. What else we got for that eye? So maybe we could let that lid go through air rather than having that hard edge there. And it pinches down right here. But see, this symphony that I keep talking about is happening right in here. A little bit less, the most, not quite as much, getting a little more colorful, more colorful. This symphony. Okay, let's right in there. All right, I don't feel like that's turning quite enough. So when I'm doing this with my brush, I'm actually putting the amount of paint that I want on there. What I was doing right there was actually taking a lot of the red out. So as you can see, there's not a lot of red in there, but there's still some red so that I'm controlling how much is going in there to influence that. Okay, and how big I go down and it gets lighter as it goes over there. All right, we don't want them to have black eyes. Big black eyes, that turns towards purple. Turns towards purple over there. Okay, but we do need to see the form take, and then is this form right? So we said that was going like that, so that means it's got to happen over here, right? Symmetry. So air, we're going to call that air. I don't know if we want air there or not. See, this got out of hand over here. There we go. It's a little bit quieter over there. And you notice how why are we looking here? All those hard edges. All of those hard edges. That shadow came out a little harsh. Okay. And the same thing, it doesn't seem like much, but that's a pretty hard edge right there. Right? And so in those little ways are how we're going to control the focus. How we're going to control the focus. Oh, right now, Peggy, you can't share these because it's in our private group. But as soon as I get the technical problems worked out, we're going to be doing it on the Meyer Studio, which you will be able to share. I'm still in my underwear, kind of to speak, and I don't want to go out in public just yet. But with you, close friends and family, I'll show up in my underwear. Your person has Facebook. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it won't work because this is a private group. That's why you're having trouble with this. If we do it in Meyer Studio or on a public page, you can share it. But thank you. And I hope to have these things worked out soon so that I am to go more public. That's what all of this was about. Able to share with more people. Okay, so I think one thing that's going to really help us right now, and I know we could get caught up in here and do all, but I think a bit of really clean blue tie right here is going to do a lot for us. So let's see. Why don't we come over to our blue. Now, if I put that down, that's just so loud. So shadow's warm, and that's a little high chroma. So the CAD red will help darken that blue and take some of the bite out of it. And what I'm shooting for, look how strong that CAD red is. That just dominated that blue. All right. Show off. Because I don't need strong blue everywhere. I want to have somebody in the light or the midtones. But let's turn that shadow on that tie. We got the top across the top, and then boom. Show it wrapping around. And that one shadow. And the shadow side. Okay. And what would the blue and light look like? Look how light that, you don't want it that light, right? We want a nice strong blue, but we don't want everybody to leave the concert to come see the stereo system in our car. So how would this work? Right, so let's see how that looks. Boom. And it's nice, it's not too loud, so especially for a first list. So this is a cast shadow on this side, so that's a hard edge. It's a cast shadow down here, so that's a hard edge. This is a form shadow. So form shadow this side, cast shadow, hard edge, form shadow, soft edge. So make sure you consider those edges. So soft edge here, soft edge here. Again, I don't want to part of something being correct or clear depends on other things being unclear. Right? It's almost like a lot for the painting. It's a little plain right now and it needs to be bit up, but I feel like it made the oranges kind of stick out. It balanced everything. I don't know if you guys saw that or not. You're welcome to give me your opinion. I did a lot for this painting. So let's come back in then and get quote unquote a highlight on the blue, which might be up here. And again, we don't want it to be the brightest thing. This is like kind of a secondary read. Like if we're at the top of the mountain, we don't want to go straight down, but we go down and then there's another little peak that we go back up to, and then we go down, that kind of thing. Right, so stuff happened like that. Oh, there we go. All right, so this is ending too hard right here. That's better. Right, that big line was too much, but a little bit of it wasn't. Just like this is too much right here. Too much. And then where we need to go to from there. Right, because I got to show, so I'm drawing, right, from here to here, that symmetry. Show that eye correctly. All right, and then let's see, I think we're going to need some more shadow down here. Some more shadow, say down here. Yeah, I think that looks better connected, and then that just got too low, I think. Okay. These hard edges over here needs to be tended to. Okay. And let's make sure we get a drawing right there. So we just lost that back. But just a bit of push and pull. Push and pull, push and pull. All right. What else? What else? What else? What else? Should I tend to that hair up there? Yeah, we should get another layer of that hair, and I think. Let's see what that's going to do. All right, so I want a little bit of this warmth up in there. A little bit of that warmth. Again, I don't want to do a bunch of individual curls. I want to do big masses. Right, and then make sure you try to leave some curl contours in there. So maybe as this ends over here, that's going to be way back there, so it's not going to be there. Right, it's easy to think this is forward, but no, that's the back part, right? Where is that? Whereas there could be some forward here on the side, and if his cheek is going here, then that turns around as it turns back around. It'll be there, but we need to put it like that so it reinforces the tilt of the head. Okay, and then leave room for it to turn again into shadow over here. Okay, I think so. I think so. Getting closer. Getting closer. And I think I want to want a little bit of that background, but so I actually may be coming to a stop here before too long. This has been about an hour 15. But I feel like we could use some highlights on his cheek and maybe forehead. And then do we need to do a little bit more with that white shirt? Reflect. Oh, man, as soon as I say I think it may be enough, things come out of the woodwork. So this is a hard edge here. I want to soften this up. Try to keep, right, that. See how I come back and I just keep pulling and pushing, but I'm always working with the paint. That makes sense. If that makes sense. Let's see. Let me see. See that hard edge right there? That should be a soft edge. That should be a soft edge. So it's messing with me. So that was a little bit warm there, and I did that because I felt like that air was just too cool. Too cool. And then again, we've got a hard edge right here. Take that out. See if we can't soften this edge a bit. Making any progress? Any progress being made? I think so. I think so. And I know he still looks clowny, but it, again, less so than last time and less so. And we're just going to refine our way through there. Refine our way through there. He doesn't have eyebrows or anything like that. But I am very curious to see if I can get a highlight to stand on top of that collar. Kinda. Kinda. And again, soft transitions. Nothing too abrupt. Nothing too abrupt. Okay, and then this would be a little fat there. Go. All right, so just however you can control the paint, pushing it around, picking it up. Peggy, the cavalry has come to your rescue. That's a good thing. That is a good thing. What if we were a little bit saucy? Just put a bit of that there. And bit of that there. Okay. So it's not always light. It's not always light. How does it go? Light without substance. Shadow has no substance. Calling me shallow. Let's see. Let that hair tuck underneath there. Boom. So as these come together, do the edge look like curly hair? Right? As these come together, is it looking like curly hair? Uh, I need a sore neck. I need a sore neck. Okay, so we don't want them to look. Take away those hard edges. So there was just too much air. So I've grabbed some light. Just too much air. I mean, how much can one person breathe? So I just go back to each of these things that we've been talking about, and can I do it better? Can we do it better? Okay. All right. Somebody's gonna have to sign up to be a mouthpiece. I don't know that I can really paint and talk at the same time. That's asking a lot. Asking a lot. All right. Can you guys still hear me? Do we have sound? Have we lost sound? Have we lost sound? Maybe. Maybe. Okay, guys. I think that's about it. There's still plenty to do and fix on this, but that feels like a full day to me. I have sound. Good. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That feels like a full day. So please let me know what you think about the 3 screens. Too much? Rather just have 2? Um, I know I may not have the color and everything perfect at this point, or even good, but we're working on it. We're working on it. When you see my back like this, I'm looking at a screen right there, but if I pull the curtains back, this scene's going to get a lot busier and crazier. So we're doing our best for a nice clean presentation. All right, well, if I'm back before, I will definitely be back tomorrow club. And until then, I hope you guys have a good weekend. And I hope you got something out of this, that method of working and that push and pull, and always thinking about what I need the paint to do and why I'm doing this. All right, everybody have a good evening. We'll talk to you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.